What happens to the exponential function below as x increases infinitely and as x decreases infinitely? So we want to know what happens to the y values of this function. Basically, what is this function's graph going to look like as we go really, really high, infinitely positive in the x direction that way, or infinitely negative in the x direction that way? What's going to happen to this function? So let's take a look. Let's start off with some easy values of the function that we can calculate. When x equals 0, that gives us -1. So the y-intercept of this graph is going to be a -1. When x equals 1, we get a y value of -2. So we can start to see what shape this exponential function is going to be taking. What about when x equals 2? When x equals 2, this function is equal to -4, right? So 2, -4. It looks like as x is getting larger and larger and larger and larger, this function is going to decrease infinitely in the y direction. So as x gets infinitely larger, y is going to go toward -infinity. What about in the other direction as x goes toward -infinity? Well, let's start with some of the easier ones first. When x equals -1, that gives us -2 to the -1. And I know that I have to do the reciprocal, so that gives me -1/2. So when x equals -1, I have a value of -1/2. When x equals -2, what does that give me? I get -2 to the -2, which is equal to -1/2 squared, which is -1/4. And I can see as x gets larger and larger toward infinity, this value is never going to turn into anything positive. It's never going to hit actually 0 on the y-axis. It's going to get my denominators are going to get larger and larger, right? So I'm going to get things like 426 or even bigger than that. And as my denominator gets larger, this fractional value becomes smaller and smaller and smaller, but it's never going to hit 0. So as x goes toward -infinity, this function is going to approach but not cross 0.